So now I'm going to talk about once the Prophet ﷺ finished Dhuhr prayer, he went home to pray the Sunnah of Dhuhr, which is two Sunnah after the Fard prayer. And after he finishes, he goes back to the masjid and he sits in the masjid until it's Asr time, or he would go and do things that needed to be done. So sometimes he would stay in the masjid from Dhuhr to Asr, like when the tribe of Abd Qais came to accept Islam, and at the same time they also had questions. So he sat with them in the masjid until it was Asr time. So he prayed Asr, he went home and he prayed the 2 rakats of Dhuhr. The mother of believer said, "O Prophet of Allah, you prohibited us from praying after Asr, and now you're praying 2 rakats." He said, "Well, the tribe of Abd Qais came and they sat with me from Dhuhr to Asr, and I did not pray my Sunnah. So now I'm making it up," which means that making up missed Sunnah at the time of prohibition is valid. The 2 rakats of Fajr, if I woke up and it's a Iqamah and I went to the masjid to pray with the Jama'ah, after the Jama'ah finishes, I can pray the 2 rakats Sunnah of Fajr if I missed them, as this is what the Prophet ﷺ did in this situation. So the Prophet between Dhuhr and Asr was staying in the masjid to serve the Muslims, or you leave and go to solve people's problems. Once in Kuba, he left the masjid after Dhuhr and he told Bilal, Bani Amr ibn Auf, the tribe of Amr ibn Auf, they had a dispute and they fought among themselves to the extent that they threw rocks on one another, fighting, and there were swords. So he went to arbitrate and he tried to reconcile between them. Since Quba was far from his masjid, he told Bilal, "If I'm late for Asr, ask Abu Bakr to lead the prayer." So he deputized Abu Bakr, which is an indication that when he dies, Abu Bakr would be the Khalifa. Also, once after the Dhuhr prayer, the Prophet ﷺ, when Sa'd ibn Rabi'a died, he went to divide his inheritance, because Sa'd only had daughters and they were the first daughters to inherit in Islam. If we have sons and daughters, inheritance is easy. If we have daughters, then the daughters would get 2/3 and the rest will go to the siblings of the deceased. If he had a father, he would consume. So Sa'd ibn Rabi'a was who the Prophet ﷺ made a brother to Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. When Abdul Rahman ibn Auf migrated to Medina, the Prophet divided the Muhajirin, which are the migrants, with the people of Medina, and each one was allocated one to be his brother. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was one of the richest men, but he came to Medina broke. So Sa'd ibn Rabi'a said, "I'm the richest man in Medina. Half of my wealth is yours and I have 2 beautiful wives. I will divorce one of them and you can marry her." So Abdul Rahman said, "May Allah bless your wealth and your family. Show me where the market is." And he went to the market with nothing, and in a few months he became one of the richest men in Medina. He started to invest to become rich. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was one of the 10 heaven bound whom the Prophet ﷺ died while he was pleased with. So being rich does not impact your iman, because the wealth is not in your heart, is in your hand for the sake of Allah. So Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was allocated to Sa'd ibn Rabi'a. Throughout the day, whenever he went and walked in the markets, he would always put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his mind and preach the religion. So if he walks in the market and he sees a pile of food, wheat or barley, he would insert his hand in it. The outside is dry and inside is moist and wet, and he would say, "What is this?" The man said, "O Prophet of Allah, it rained yesterday, so I turned it over so the wet part is inside and the dry part is outside. This is cheating." Also, the Prophet ﷺ used to visit those who were sick, used to mourn the dead and give condolences to the family. The Prophet ﷺ would not hesitate to help a widow or an orphan or someone who's in need with whatever he come with his reputation, name and authority. So now I'm going to be talking about Asr. So when the Asr Adhan was given, the Prophet ﷺ would wait until the people came and used to pray at the beginning of time. He would not delay it. The hadith of Anas, he says, "No one will so haste to pray Asr prayer in the beginning of the time other than the Prophet ﷺ," which meant that Asr is 10 minutes after the Adhan. Asr was different to Dhuhr and Fajr. The Prophet would not give them reminders after Asr. He would not, reach them things. This is a limited time. There's a limited time between Asr and Maghrib. People would not need to prepare dinner, also need to finish any work before it gets dark. He'll need to prepare dinner and finish any work before it actually gets dark. After the Asr, the Prophet ﷺ would pray and not stay in the masjid, rather go to his home, and usually he used to, like Fajr, visit each and every one of his wives in their home, sit for a small while giving salam, checking up on them, and then leave. Asr is short. In times of winter between Asr and Maghrib it is limited. He could not accompany the 9 of the homes at the time. So in this case, what he used to do, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was go to the wife's house where he would stay for the night, and all the wives would come and visit him in her house, and they would all gather and chit chat during that time. The time between Asr and Maghrib, the Prophet ﷺ used to utilize it for quality times with his wives, so his wives maybe ask him about things they did not know, like the hadith of Aisha when she said, "O Prophet of Allah, what was the most difficult time for you? The Battle of Uhud, when you lost your uncle, when you lost 70 of your companions?" He said, "No, the most difficult time was when I was in Mecca and the people of Mecca forced me to go to Taif. So I went to Taif and I displayed myself over the tribes so that they would take me in and give me shelter. Instead they said, you're a liar." They made fun of him and and told the children and the slaves to stone me. So they stoned me until my feet started to bleed. So I went down from Taif on foot, and I only woke up in an era in between, and I did not recognize what was happening. I was so depressed, I don't remember anything. Walking down the road until I saw Jibreel and the angel of the mountains coming to me. Jibreel said, "This is the angel of the mountain. Allah sent him to you." And the angel of the mountain said, "Oh Muhammad, Allah had seen what the people of Taif and Makkah had done to you. If you wish, order me and I shall collapse all the mountains on their heads and destroy them." But the Prophet ﷺ said, "No, by Allah, I am hopeful and wishful that Allah will get from their offspring those who hurt me, who stoned me. I pray that Allah would get from their offspring people who would honor and would spread it and would serve." This is the mercy that was sent to mankind, the Prophet ﷺ. So I'm going to leave the video here. I leave you here fi amanillah. Wa sallallahu wa baraka ala nabina Muhammad. Astaghfirullah. Before I go, there's only a few parts left in this day in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. I've gone into great detail, giving you evidences and occurrences and talking about the Prophet ﷺ's favourite foods, the etiquettes of drinking, the way he spent his life, what he did in between the prayer times, how he utilised his time, and this is how we should utilize our time, and because time is so valuable, once it's lost it's gone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.